What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and absolutely brutal news coming out of Netflix, sending their stock down nearly 10% again today as they continue to spiral out of control. If we look at the last just month, for example, for the Netflix stock, it is down 50% in just a month. It has lost more money in share price than it is currently worth, down $190.56, currently valued at $189.94. Over the past 5 days, it's down 5%, has seen some recovery, but today, absolutely brutal news, down now 7% and counting. This is exactly what happens when these woke corporations, things backfire for them. And what's hilarious about it is it's not even like the worst part, as their woke customers are now turning against them. I mean, you just love to see it. I mean, that's all I can really say is, like, I don't think Netflix is a net positive for society. I don't really think most programming is outside of like nature documentaries and things where you can learn. Um, I loathe big corporations, which is, I don't let them get my data. By the way, it's 2022. If you don't currently have a VPN, the one I use is private internet access. People ask me, hey, which one do you use? I use private internet access. They are also a sponsor of the channel with an 82% off discount right now. You can browse anonymously. You can keep your data out of big tech's hands. Most importantly, too, you can access region-locked content that you can't see or watch here where you're currently located. You could put it on your phone, your tablets, your laptop, your PCs, all with one subscription. Check out private internet access today, and if you use the link in my description, you can save 82% off. They also have a money-back guarantee. There's literally no reason not to check it out today. Now, Netflix slammed for actively recruiting, quote, black women and then firing them all anyway. Netflix thought they'd get accolades for making so many diverse hires. That strategy backfired when the company had to do layoffs months after launching the fan website Tudum. Now the company is facing public outcry that a number of minority employees lost their jobs. According to TechCrunch, the company laid off editorial staff from its in-house publication Tudum only 5 months after launching the new venture. More than 10 writers tweeted about being let go, including an editorial manager. The publication indicated that 25 people in Netflix's marketing department were affected by the decision. A Netflix spokesperson told the outlet, "Our fan website Tudum is an important priority of the company." Doesn't sound like it. It's worth mentioning that Netflix actively recruited black women and people of color just to lay them off months later without a second thought, journalist Monique Judge said on Twitter. Don't brag about being inclusive when you treat your diversity hires like they are disposable. Yes, everyone knows black people most affected by being laid off. Look, I've been laid off. It sucks. I was very fortunate when I was laid off because I was in a management position and I got a severance, but it still was awful. And, and anybody who's been laid off knows that. It sucks for all of us the same, regardless of skin color. Netflix recruited me 7 months ago, only to lay me off me and a bunch of other people. Today, I'm going to take time off just to adjust, which means they have plenty of money. Please get in touch. One ex-Tudum employee told NPR they went out of their way to hire high-level journalists of color who have quite a bit of name recognition, never heard of any of them, by the way, and a lot of experience and talent. In some ways, we were just buying clout and lend credibility to their gambit. We were courted pretty aggressively. They sold us on the most amazing thing that you could want as a culture journalist or entertainment journalist, the former staffer continued. They just sold something that seemed impossible anywhere else. But the biggest selling point was the pay. People upended their lives for this. So they overpaid, clearly, from a diversity, and they ended up firing them all anyway. Now, I don't, in terms of like, get woke, go broke, I don't think, first of all, that like the diversity hires were related to the layoffs. I think, it's not like, if they'd only hired the best person for the job, then they wouldn't have been fired. I think that the problems inside of Netflix are like systemic and very big, very problematic. And I mean, imagine seeing half of your portfolio disappear in 5 days. It's absolutely nuts, and things are getting worse. Netflix is now getting sued. Netflix hit with a shareholder lawsuit after disclosing subscriber lawsuit. Shareholders sued the streaming giant, alleging it violated the SEC by misleading them about subscriber growth. Netflix downplayed the impact of account sharing, increased competition from other services, and difficulties retaining users, according to a shareholder lawsuit. In a complaint filed Tuesday in the California federal court, investors are suing Netflix for being overly optimistic about its business prospects by misleading them about losing subscribers. As a result, the defendants' wrongful acts and omissions and the precipitous decline of the market value of the company's securities. Plaintiffs and other class action members have suffered significant losses and damages. Now, do I think they're going to win this lawsuit? No, I do not. I mean, buyer beware. I don't really have a lot of, I mean, outside of like Enron or something of that nature, it's difficult to like feel bad. You invested your money in the stock market, you lost it. Now, if you can prove, hey, I hope Netflix loses the lawsuit because I hate them. But this article then, too, Hollywood nightmare, from Netflix's stock swoon to mass layoffs, anxiety grips the industry. Fear and loathing are on the rise in Hollywood as top execs and rank and file employees grapple with growth uncertainty about their place in rapidly changing entertainment industry. One pervasive concern that the streaming-fueled content bubble has finally burst, with more consolidation on the way. Well, this is something that, everybody knows who lives on a budget. Like, we all saw when you could have Netflix and Hulu and it was great, and you had basically everything. Then, remember when Netflix actually had Hollywood movies too? Anyway, you had Netflix and then maybe Amazon Prime, okay? Then it was like, oh, now I have to have Disney Plus because Disney took all the Fox stuff off and I want to watch The Simpsons. And then it was like, oh, Peacock took away The Office, so now I have to pay for that. And then Paramount took away something else, so now I got to pay for that. And I don't know. I like horror movies, so I have to have Chiller, which, by the way, is the only streaming service that I've ever been really happy with. I love it because I like horror movies. There's a lot of low B stuff on there. But I just like horror movies and they have the best selection almost always. So like now everyone's paying $145 a month for streaming services. They're paying an extra $20 a week in gas. And they're starting to say, wait a minute, I'm not opening these things. I'm not, what does Netflix have to offer me outside of Black Mirror? Like for me, nothing. I really enjoyed Black Mirror. I was also watching what was it? The German show about like interdimensional. It was like an interdimensional Dark, I think it was called. Awesome show. Subtitles. It doesn't bother me, but it bothers some people. Anyway, there are like a few, nuggets on there, but like, is it worth continually paying $20 a month for? Nah, I can find something else that's really good. And to be honest, nowadays, I'm like, if I'm watching TV, like sitting and watching streaming shows for me is the new, if you have time to lean, you have time to clean. So like when I'm like sitting and watching a show, I'm like, well, I should at least be working on my website, or I should be figuring out like Coffee Brand Coffee, how to ship to Canada today. That's like the only time I really allow myself to watch streaming stuff because there's always something else you could be doing that's more important. Here in the Midwest, it's going to be 70 degrees on Friday. It's beautiful out. Finally, in May. Everyone's going to be outside. No one's going to be sitting inside watching streaming, and it's only going to get worse. We're all waiting on pins and needles for someone to pull the figurative trigger on the inevitable restructuring, said Warner Brothers Discovery staffer. No doubt aware that the $3 billion in cost-saving synergy CEO Daniel Zaslav has promised is really just corporate code for layoffs. The executive pulled the plug. The exec pulled the plug on CNN Plus less than a month after it was launched, and the company has since been beginning pulling back TNT and TBS unscripted content, movies that will likely lead to more job losses. 2022 will undoubtedly be a messy year, Warner Brothers Discovery Chief Financial Officer said April 26th while discovering the company's most recent quarterly earnings. Abrupt strategy pivots, such as CNN Plus closure, have added to the growing unease within town. Netflix, known for its Hunger Games ethos, didn't waste any time on niceties while ending their writer contracts on April 28th. My manager explained the layoff to me via text, and she had already been let go, says an Axe worker. One of the many who preferred to remain anonymous, we realized something was wrong when her Slack appeared deactivated. In the agency world, two of the biggest outfits, CAA and ICM, are merging with one another, with one insider saying that the level of nervousness among those agents who don't have a strong book of clients is at a fever pitch. It's inevitable when you have a consolidation that people are feeling vulnerable, says top entertainment lawyer. Netflix's swoon is being greeted with some schadenfreude, particularly among executives at legacy studios who had grown tired about hearing about the algorithms and had made traditional greenlight process built on gut instincts obsolete. However, the reality is that fundamental problems bedeviling the streaming services, namely maturing business and increased competition, spell trouble for nearly every other Hollywood player. Disney, Comcast, Paramount, and Warner's have all moved aggressively into streaming space to stave off cord-cutting declines and demonstrate their ability to evolve. Now Wall Street has serious questions about Hollywood's long-term financial viability. We think the industry is facing a point of no return in which the economies of both the old model look increasingly frail, while the potential of the brave new world appear to be overly hyped, wrote Robert Fishman, an analyst for MoffettNathanson. Ramped up streaming initiatives have been a boon for creators in recent years. Every week, it seems some new showrunner has been lured to Netflix, HBO Max, Apple Plus, or any other service with a mathematical symbol in its moniker, but with the promise of some sort of mega deal or multi-episode order. Film and TV writers are worried that there's going to see a slowdown in work amid rumblings of significant Netflix belt tightening and questions about the future of DC entertainment now under new corporate ownership. Netflix couldn't keep growing forever, so now it seems like they finally hit their limit and they will have to be more careful in how they do things. This is good for customers, by the way. They spent all their time on woke trash instead of focusing on high quality content in terms of their originals, and that's the real reason they're at where they're at. If they had 10 hit originals right now, people would still be watching Netflix. The problem is that all they have is documentary of a man giving birth to a baby. Who's paying for that? Sure, it gets lots of likes and retweets, but it ain't keeping Netflix open, and things are only going to get worse. Before the end of the day, again, remember to check out this video sponsor, Private Internet Access. Get your VPN, get it installed on your phone, tablet, laptop, and PC, and enjoy anonymous browsing. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.